The emergency room doors burst open like something out of a nightmare. A man in leather, tattoos, blood on his hand, a little girl limp in his arms. People froze, no one spoke. And in that silence, everyone assumed the worst until the truth stopped their hearts. The hospital had seen everything. Drunks, fighters, broken families, but this was different. The man who walked in looked like trouble carved into flesh. Heavy boots, black leather vest, a skull stitched across his back. His beard was wild, his knuckles scraped raw. Blood soaked the sleeve of his jacket. In his arms was a girl no older than 9. Her head rested against his chest. Her face was pale beneath streaks of red. One shoe dangled loose, barely hanging on. The sound in the ER died instantly. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. A monitor beeped somewhere, loud in the sudden quiet. A nurse's pen slipped from her fingers and clattered onto the floor. "Please," the man said. That word didn't belong to someone like him. It cracked when he said it, almost broke. She wouldn't wake up. The girl stirred faintly. A breath, shallow, fragile. A doctor moved first, then another. A gurney rolled forward. The girl was taken from his arms carefully, like she might shatter if handled wrong. The man stood there empty-handed, swaying slightly, as if he'd lost balance with her gone. Security watched him closely. Everyone did. No one asked his name. No one asked who he was to her. They already thought they knew. Nurse Emily was the one who met his eyes. She de-worked trauma long enough to read people fast. Most men like him came in loud, angry, defensive. This one didn't. He looked terrified. His hands shook as he wiped them on his jeans, leaving dark red smears behind. He kept staring at the doors where they'd taken the girl, like if he blinked she might disappear forever. "Sir," Emily said gently, "you need to step back." He did immediately, too quickly, like a child being corrected. "Is she breathing?" he asked. "Yes." He exhaled hard, like he'd been holding that breath for miles. Emily noticed the small things then, the way he kept rubbing his thumb over a thin silver bracelet on his wrist. The way his shoulders stayed curved forward, protective, even with nothing in his arms. "What's her name?" she asked. "Lily." Just one word, said like a prayer. Security cleared their throats behind him. The man didn't react. He didn't argue. He didn't posture. He sank onto a plastic chair instead, elbows on his knees, head bowed. People whispered. A biker, probably drunk, poor kid. Emily didn't join in. She'd seen monsters before. This wasn't one. This was someone who loved deeply and was about to be judged for it. The waiting room smelled like antiseptic and burned coffee. Time stretched thin there, pulled apart by fear. The man hadn't moved in 40 minutes. He didn't check his phone, didn't pace. Just sat, hands locked together so tight his knuckles turned white. Across the room, a mother hugged her healthy son closer. A man whispered to his wife, eyes fixed on the leather vest. Emily heard the word angel hissed like a curse. She watched him closely. The tattoos weren't random. Names, dates. A small faded heart near his wrist. Not what she expected. She approached again with a cup of water. "You should drink something." He shook his head. "I'll spill it." His voice was low, rough, tired. "She likes orange juice," he added suddenly. "No pulp, says it feels like bugs." Emily smiled before she could stop herself. "She sounds opinionated." He almost smiled back. "Almost. How long have you had her?" Emily asked carefully. His jaw tightened. "All her life." That answer didn't match the story people were telling themselves. A doctor passed by with Lily's chart. The man stood so fast his chair tipped backward. "She gonna make it?" The doctor paused, looked at him, really looked. "We're doing everything we can." The man nodded once. "Good," he said. "She deserves that." Then he sat back down, trembling quietly, like the weight of the world had finally caught up to him. While machines hummed behind closed doors, the man drifted into memory. Lily had hated helmets at first. Too tight, too heavy. She decrossed her arms and refused to move. He'd crouched down in front of her, big hands gentle, voice soft. "Can't ride without it," he'd said. "World's rough sometimes." She sighed dramatically, the way kids do when they know they've lost. Now she begged him to tighten it himself every time, said his hands made it feel safer. They weren't related by blood. He'd found her 3 years earlier on the side of a highway, standing alone near a wrecked sedan. Her mother gone, no family willing to take her. She'd reached for him without fear. Everyone else had reached for handcuffs. The court had called him unfit, dangerous, unstable. He'd shown up anyway, every hearing, every visit. He learned how to braid hair from YouTube, learned school schedules, lunchbox notes. He left the club quietly, took a job fixing bikes, took parenting classes where everyone stared. Lily didn't care. She called him dad on the second night, said it like she'd always known. Back in the hospital, his eyes filled suddenly. He hadn't been there when the car ran the light. He hadn't been there when she screamed. That guilt crushed harder than any fist ever had. The whispers got louder as the hours passed. Someone complained to security. Someone suggested calling child services. Emily heard it all. She also saw the way the man flinched every time the doors opened, how his foot tapped endlessly, counting seconds he couldn't control. Finally, a doctor approached. "Mr. Payne," the man stood. "Yes." The doctor hesitated. "You're Lily's guardian." He nodded. "Legally." That word mattered. It landed heavy. "She's stable," the doctor said. "Internal bleeding, but we caught it in time." The man sagged forward, hands braced on his knees. "Can I see her?" "Soon." The doctor paused again, voice lowering. "She kept asking for you." Something broke then. He turned his face away, shoulders shaking once, just once. Emily looked away too. Some moments shouldn't be watched. When the doctor left, Emily stepped closer. "She's going to need someone steady," she said. He met her eyes. "I'm not going anywhere." For the first time, she believed completely. They let him see her just before sunrise. The hallway lights were dimmed, softened like the world itself was holding its breath. Machines whispered instead of beeped. The room smelled faintly of plastic and antiseptic. Lily looked impossibly small in the hospital bed. Tubes ran from her arms. A bandage wrapped her head. Her curls were flattened against the pillow, darker with sweat. He stopped just inside the doorway, afraid that even stepping closer might hurt her. For the first time since the doors burst open, he didn't know what to do. Then her fingers twitched. "Dad!" she whispered. His knees nearly gave out. "I'm here," he said, rushing to her side, taking her hand like it was the only thing keeping him alive. "I didn't go anywhere." Her grip was weak but real. "I was scared," she murmured. "I know," he said, voice breaking. "I was too." She looked at him, eyes heavy but trusting. "You came fast as I could." That seemed to be enough. Her eyes fluttered shut again, breathing evening out. He stayed frozen, thumb tracing slow circles on her skin, afraid to move. Because for the first time in his life, everything that mattered was lying in that bed. Morning crept into the hospital quietly. Light slipped through high windows, pale and unsure, touching the floor like it didn't want to disturb anything. He hadn't slept, hadn't leaned back. He sat upright in the chair, Lily's hand still wrapped around his finger. Nurses came and went. They spoke softer now. Some smiled at him. One brought a blanket without asking. Another left a cup of orange juice on the table and said nothing at all. Emily watched the change happen. The looks had shifted. The whispers stopped. No one stared at the vest anymore. They looked at the man instead. The way he brushed Lily's hair from her face. The way he leaned in close whenever she stirred, like she might drift away if he didn't. A social worker arrived late morning. She asked careful questions. He answered everyone. Calm, honest, unflinching. "She's mine," he said simply. "I'm hers." The woman studied the room, the drawings taped to the wall, the notebook filled with school schedules and emergency contacts in his rough handwriting. She closed the file gently. "I can see that," she said. For the first time, no one questioned it. Lily woke again that afternoon, stronger this time. She squinted at the room, then smiled when she saw him. "You look bad," she said. He laughed quietly. "You should see the other guy." She shifted carefully, wincing just a little. He hovered instantly. "I'm okay," she said. "Promise." He nodded, though his hands didn't stop shaking. "Did I do good?" she asked suddenly. He frowned. "At what?" "Not being scared." His throat closed. "You did amazing," he said. "Braver than anyone I know." She considered that, then squeezed his finger. "You were scared, though." "Yes," he admitted. "But you stayed." "Yes." He smiled, satisfied. "That's what dads do." The words hit him harder than any judgment ever had. Emily stood in the doorway, pretending to check the chart. Her eyes were wet. She had seen broken families, absent parents, angry men. But this was someone who stayed, even when staying hurt, especially then. By the third day, Lily was sitting up. Color returned to her cheeks. She asked for pancakes. She complained about the TV. Life slowly found its way back into her. The man finally slept, head resting against the side of her bed, boots still on, one arm draped protectively across the blanket. Staff walked around him carefully, like he was part of the room now. Visitors came and went. Some nodded at him. One older doctor stopped and said quietly, "You did right by her." He nodded back, unable to speak. When discharge papers were signed, Lily grinned. "I want to go home." He helped her into her jacket, hands gentle, practiced. Checked her bandage, adjusted her collar. Outside the room, someone whispered, "That's him." But this time, it wasn't fear in their voice. It was respect. He lifted Lily carefully into his arms again, slower than before, more aware of how precious the weight was. As they walked toward the exit, the hospital didn't go silent. Instead, people stepped aside. The doors opened to morning air and sunlight. It felt different now, warmer, real. He set Lily down slowly, kneeling to meet her eye level. "You good?" She nodded. "Yeah." He fastened her helmet carefully, fingers steady, checking the strap twice. "Dad," she said, "always. Thanks for not letting me go." He swallowed hard. Never again. They walked to the bike together, not rushed, not afraid. As the engine started, Lily leaned back against him, small and solid and alive. Home felt different after the hospital. Not quieter, just heavier, like the walls remembered what almost happened. He carried Lily inside even though she could walk. She didn't argue. Her arms wrapped loosely around his neck, her cheek resting against his shoulder like it belonged there. He set her on the couch and reached for the blanket she always used, the one with the faded stars. She watched him carefully, eyes tracking every movement. "You gonna sit?" she asked. He did. Immediately, they sat without talking. The clock ticked. A car passed outside. Life kept going, unaware of how close it had come to stopping. "You were really scared," she said softly. He nodded. "Yeah." She thought about that. "I didn't like seeing you scared. I didn't like feeling it." She leaned into him, head resting against his chest. "It's okay, you didn't leave." His hand settled on her back, steady, protective. "I won't," he said, "even when I'm scared." She yawned, eyelids drooping. That night he slept on the floor beside her bed, not because she asked, because he needed to hear her breathe. Some promises don't need words. School called a week later, not with concern, with curiosity. A teacher wanted to check in. A counselor offered support. Their voices were careful now, respectful in a way they hadn't been before. He showed up anyway, same boots, same vest, same quiet posture. Lily held his hand in the hallway. "This is my dad," she said proudly to anyone who looked. No one questioned it. At pickup, another parent smiled at him. Small, brief. Real change didn't come loudly. It never does. It came in nods, in space made instead of taken, in people seeing before deciding. That evening, Lily taped a new drawing to the fridge. It showed two figures on a motorcycle, one big, one small, both wearing helmets, both smiling. Underneath, she'd written in uneven letters, "My dad is my hero." He stared at it longer than he should have. When she noticed, she shrugged. "It's true." He swallowed hard. "Guess I better live up to it." She smiled. "You already do." And for the first time, he believed her. The vest stayed on the hook more often after that, not because he was ashamed, because he didn't need armor at home. He still fixed bikes, still rode, still carried his past quietly. But now he packed lunches, learned spelling words, helped with math he barely understood. Lily healed fast. Kids always do when they feel safe. One afternoon, she asked, "Do you think my mom would like you?" The question landed softly, carefully. "I hope so," he said. "I think she'd be proud of you." Lily nodded. She would. They sat on the porch watching the sun sink low, orange and slow. "People thought you were bad," she said suddenly. He didn't flinch. "Yeah, but you're not." He looked at her, really looked. "I've done bad things," he said honestly, "but loving you isn't one of them." She considered that, then smiled. "Then that's the part that matters." The sky darkened, and somewhere deep inside him, a long war finally ended. Months later, he rode past the hospital. He didn't stop. He didn't need to, but he slowed. He remembered the silence, the looks, the weight of being misunderstood. He also remembered the nurse who brought a blanket, the doctor who spoke gently. The way the doors opened differently when they left. Places change when truth walks through them. People do too. At home, Lily waited at the window. She waved when she saw him, always waved. He parked, removed his helmet, and opened his arms. She ran into them without hesitation. In that moment, nothing else mattered. Not the past, not the labels, not the fear, just this. A man who stayed. a child who trusted, a love that didn't ask permission to exist. Years later, Lily would remember the hospital, not the pain, the hands, the way he never let go. She would grow up knowing one thing with certainty: love doesn't look one way. Sometimes it rides loud. Sometimes it wears scars. Sometimes it walks into a room everyone fears and carries hope anyway. And the man, he never stopped being careful with her. Because once you almost lose something, you learn how to hold it forever. If this story stayed with you, you're not alone. Like the video if it moved you. Subscribe for stories that remind us love has many faces.